Hello, my friends. As you know, PMBOK 7 is now the talk of the town because the last man standing is down. What am I saying? I'm saying the CAPM exam that was standing has been the 6th edition referenced exam is now going out on the 25th of July. It's all going to be PMBOK 7 in the dialogue, even though there's process groups, a practice guide that's still around, but a lot of focus is now on PMBOK 7. So I have with me today my friends from the Project Leadership Institute, Darrell and Ed, who are PMPs, and we're just going to examine this from a very agnostic perspective, not thinking predictively only or agile only. We're going to just look at this as stuff that can help us. And instead of just focusing on the domains and the principles, we wanted to focus on the big mass of the 7th edition and what it stands for. So without separating domains and principles, just the big philosophy of the 7th edition is you got to be agnostic. That's what this book is saying. You know, it's just saying you got to be agnostic. You got to be flexible and don't bucketize yourself into I'm predictive only or I'm agile only. I would say this is the hybrid PMBOK, if you will. Now, in order to hybridize, I know what the PMI wanted to do. They wanted to make a recipe that hasn't been shared before and something that would truly cover both worlds. However, I think they had already done that, to be honest, in the Agile Practice Guide, pages 90 to 95 of the Agile Practice Guide. They just didn't know. But Darrell, let's jump in. Ed, let's jump in and let me ask you, when you see this, what comes to your mind? Do you want to go first, Ed? Just tell me, just vanilla flavored, straight ahead slab of content. Don't look at this like anything, but just tell me what comes to your mind when you look at this.
You know, when I look at that, Phil, I think the first thing that arrests my attention, and I think is really what Chris Williams says. He says what separates people is not the skill, it's the patience in acquiring the skill and retaining the skill. And I think when you look at this, it's the opportunity to retain the skill set of learning what a stakeholder is and how the team can collaborate together. But based on what I'm seeing here is really all the drivers that can lead a project more effectively. You see, I said lead, not manage.
I like that. I like that. I actually love that. Everything rises and falls on leadership. You're very correct. That's a great way of looking at it. Awesome. Darrell, what do you think?
So in my opinion, Phil and Edward, it's more tailored to performance, which EVM stands out looking at that chart with performance, along with planning, project work, and it's more correlated around project controls.
That's a great way of looking at it. And you're very correct. Actually, one of my favorites, now that you mention it, Darrell, from all of these is the one at 9 o'clock here, this one, measurement. This is my favorite. And it's funny that EVM, for those who don't know, it stands for Earned Value Management. EVM is very heavily measurement focused. But I like the mantra here. Maybe a different day we'll talk about this. I might find myself on a rabbit trail borrowing for more information about measurement. It's really nice, but I'll give you the summary about all of these. And then when we get to measurement, maybe I'll drop some more gold. So stakeholder, right? Let's take a look at what PMI says. And you tell me if you concur with what is here. It says, the stakeholder performance domain addresses activities and functions associated with stakeholders. Effective stakeholder interaction contributes to successful project outcomes. Stakeholder engagement includes implementing strategies and actions to promote productive involvement of stakeholders in project decision-making and implementation. Quite straightforward. Wouldn't you agree, gents?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, Bill.
And what does this remind you of from previous PMBOK guides?
Constantly interaction, stakeholder. I mean, that's the root of everything. In my opinion, just the constantly interaction with stakeholders, because without them, the project is not going to move anywhere.
Absolutely. And Darrell, what do you notice? Do you see this being a pull out of any of the chapters from the previous editions?
The stakeholder cube.
Yeah, the stakeholder, that whole stakeholder thing for sure. So that is chapter 13. So it's kind of covered in some way. Let's move to the next one, team.